Two of my favorite wow recipes are my all green meatballs and my minty cauliflower rice with pomegranate seeds and turmeric. I love these two recipes individually, but I also love pairing them together. The all green meatballs are actually made with bison instead of beef, chicken, or turkey. I love using bison because generally speaking, bison is free range, hormone free, antibiotic free. It's also leaner and more flavorful with less fat than beef. I love using cauliflower rice, which is really the new kale right now, because it's a great substitute for regular rice, especially if you're trying to cut your carbs down. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our bison meatballs and we're gonna put them in a heated pan. These meatballs are called all green meatballs because they have chard and spinach and cilantro and parsley in them. So you get a nice kick of flavor as well as a nice hint of freshness. So we're gonna take our preheated pan. We're gonna add in some avocado oil, and we're using avocado oil because it has a very high smoke point, so it's not gonna burn. While that's heating, I'm also gonna heat some avocado oil in my second pan for the cauliflower rice. When you buy frozen cauliflower rice, I've heard people boil it, and you're actually not supposed to boil it. You're supposed to let it thaw and then put it straight in the pan. So this right here is thawed cauliflower rice. So this pan is hot and the oil is hot, so I'm gonna drop in my meatballs. And we're gonna let those sit and brown on the bottom. Then I'm gonna take the cauliflower rice, put it in the heated pan, and let that cook up. I don't like to stir it around because I want the bottom to get a little bit brown and toasty, so let that sit for a while. And you're also gonna let the meatballs sit for a while until they start to brown on the bottom. And you're gonna cook the meatballs probably for about 4 minutes on each side. Frozen cauliflower rice has a lot of moisture in it, so if you stir it around, more of the moisture is gonna come out of the rice and it's gonna make it really mushy. So I recommend just letting it sit, and every couple of minutes, then you're gonna stir it, but lightly stir it to make sure that it doesn't turn into like a mash. Another thing you can do to take the excess liquid out of the cauliflower rice is you can put it in a cheesecloth and squeeze out the water. You can also put it in a thin, clean kitchen towel as well to take out the water. If you don't feel comfortable cooking the meatballs on the stove, you can also pop them in the oven at 400 degrees for about 15 or 20 minutes, and they'll be cooked through. So while they're cooking in the oven, you could be making other things. Just make sure to set a timer. Another great tip is you can make twice the meatball recipe and freeze half of it for another day, which is a great way to food prep. So if you're making them for Monday, you'll eat them for that week and then put the rest of them in the freezer that you didn't cook. And then a couple weeks later, you can take them out, thaw them out, and cook them on the stovetop or in the oven. This is a very, very simple cauliflower rice recipe, but you can use your cauliflower rice for any type of rice dish. You can even use it for a Chinese rice stir fry by adding peas and carrots and a little bit of coconut aminos and a fried egg. You could also turn it into more of a Thai flavored rice and add some type of a Thai curry paste to it and mix that up, throw some shrimp on there, throw some cauliflower, throw some broccoli. So you can look at cauliflower rice as a blank canvas, and you can turn it into whatever delicious rice dish you want. Another wow tip, if you have kids and you're having a hard time weaning them off of white rice, you can mix half of their white rice with half of the cauliflower rice, and because cauliflower doesn't really taste like anything, they'll have no idea that they're actually eating a vegetable. So you can see now that it's beginning to brown, so I'm gonna start to stir it a little bit more. And the meatballs are perfect. They're brown on the bottom, brown on both sides. So at this point, the cauliflower rice is starting to brown a little bit. So I'm gonna add a little bit of turmeric powder. Now, ladies, if you have white nail polish on, I'm just giving you a heads up that your white nail polish will turn yellow. So make sure that you use a spoon and don't touch it with your nails. So we're gonna put a little turmeric in, which is anti-inflammatory. Turmeric is also called the poor man's saffron because it adds a lot of color and it's not as expensive. We're gonna turn our heat down. We're gonna mix this up. And you can smell the turmeric. It gets a little toasty as it starts to cook. The cauliflower rice is actually not gonna get mushy right now because all the liquid's out of it and it's pretty dry. But I'm still being pretty light when I cook with it because I don't wanna mush it down. So I'm just lightly tossing it. You can give it a shake in the pan. So we have that. Then we're gonna add a little bit of salt. And you can use pink salt, you can use fleur de sel, you can use any type of high quality salt. And then I'm gonna add pepper. Pepper is actually a key ingredient to use when you're cooking with turmeric, because when you combine turmeric and pepper, it activates all the positive properties of turmeric to help your body feel better and also help your body with the anti-inflammatory properties. So now you're gonna put the cauliflower rice into your serving platter. You can use a bowl, you can use a plate. And what's so wonderful when you cook cauliflower rice properly is that it really gets super light and fluffy, just like rice. So you put all that in there. And then I'm gonna take my mint. I'm gonna put a whole bunch of mint, which is so nice and fresh. I put the mint, and now I'm gonna put the pomegranate seeds. Pomegranate seeds are so great for you because they're full of antioxidants. And what I'd love to do is I love adding a little bit of sweetness to all of my dishes so that you feel really satisfied. And they're also incredibly beautiful, and they look like little rubies sprinkled on top of your food. So once that's done, and the meatballs are totally done, we're gonna put the meatballs on top of the rice for a complete, healthy, delicious, and satisfying and tasty dinner. Check out my YouTube channel for more wild organic wellness recipes.